Hi, and welcome to Right to Right. Today I am talking about Pinterest for business owners. If you don't know me, I have recently been given the moniker of demystifying social media, so I'm embracing that. And today I'm going to demystify Pinterest. Um, Now, please do not search Right to Right on Pinterest. I am there, but I have a very small account. Everything that I am going to teach you today is based on my Schooled Up hair accessories Pinterest account. I've been using it for Schooled Up, which is my other business, for over 4 years now. It started as a personal Pinterest account, which I transferred over to a business account. And I have over 6,000 followers on that Pinterest account, most of whom live in the US. So yeah, I thought I'd jump on and discuss this for you today. So speaking of the US, as you can see, I'm Australian. I live in Australia. Some stats that I found about Pinterest users is that 93% of users, US users, use Pinterest to plan their purchases. And 96% of customers actually use the platform for researching a purchase. So, it's two sides of the same coin, but there is a very high percentage of users in the US, of customers in the US, that actually use Pinterest. Now, a word of warning for Australian users, Pinterest users, or Australian businesses. You will hear American social media experts talking about Pinterest and saying that if you have a product, you should get on Pinterest. That is only if you can sell to the US. Schooled Up, I cannot sell to the US. I'm precluded from selling to the US and Canada, but I'm still there. There are only 320,000 active Pinterest accounts here in Australia. So I do not actually recommend spending a lot of time on Pinterest for Australian businesses unless you want to attract a US client. Okay, so that is the only time I would recommend it. It's not a blanket thing for Australian businesses. So what I have learnt over the years of actually being on Pinterest. So what I said earlier was I actually had a personal Pinterest account and I swapped it over to a business Pinterest account. And it's a simple process. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pop some URLs up in the side here. So the first one is actually setting up a business account. So there are 3 steps to setting up a business account. The main reason why, yeah, exactly, Shiva. It's really small. The number of Australian users is really quite small. There's more than, there's nearly 2 million people in my hometown. So to think there are only 320,000 active Australian Pinterest accounts is quite amazing. So what I was saying is businesses will often, or people will often say, well, why do I need a business Pinterest account? The main reason is to get to analytics. You can only access analytics if you have a business account. So what are the benefits of having the analytics? The first thing is that it allows you to see who is repinning your stuff. That is the first thing. And don't freak out when you go to the analytics part. It actually opens up in a new tab. The first time I did it, I was like, what, where am I? It's opened up in a new tab. The second thing, and this is the most powerful thing as a business owner, is to see who is pinning off of your website. So this shows you how your content is being used and who is using it. The first time I saw that, I was taken aback because I thought, well, hang on a minute, they're taking my stuff. But the fact of the matter is if I didn't have a business Pinterest account, I wouldn't see that. And anyone's going to people pin anything and everything off of the internet. So I took a more proactive approach to having a business Pinterest account. I thought, well, if I'm going to have a website, I'm going to be the one pinning my stock onto my Pinterest and getting the traffic that way, rather than somebody else beating me to the post. They can repin, that's fine. So that is the first thing. You really need a business Pinterest account so that you can see who is pinning off of your website, who's pinning your content. And the reason why that's important is because Google indexes pins. So you want to have your name against all of that stuff to get the traffic back to your site. Speaking of your site, you're actually going to have to verify your site. Now, this can be a little painful. It can be a little bit expensive, but you need to do this to be able to track your pins from your website. They need to know, Pinterest needs to know that you have a verified site. It's an actual website, you know, you're a bona fide business, those kinds of things. So that's important. The thing that I would recommend is if your website is built using WordPress, you use the WordPress plugin for verifying Pinterest. So unfortunately, I don't have the link on me, but just search in the WordPress tools and you'll be able to find it. It makes life so much easier. So the next thing, once you've set up your account, and once you've verified your site, the next thing that you need is to set up your bio. Word of warning, your bio is 160 characters long. So think of Twitter, 140 characters. You've got 160 characters to make an impression on your customers, on your followers. And you can include links, so you can have a specific landing page to have people to go back to, so you can track click-throughs. So the thing is you will then need to know the keywords that people use to search for your products or your services, and you'll need to include those in your bio. So for my hair accessory page, I use things like hair accessories, clips, hair ties, headbands, all of those kinds of words that people search for. And what I recommend for finding out what these keywords are, because you will need to do this, you will need to know your keywords for a number of different things, is Google AdWords or Google Trends. So they're the two tools that I recommend for getting your keywords. You will then need to know those keywords, not just for your bio, but for your boards. So one of the tips that I have been taught for the boards is to put your business name. So when you're selling your products or your services, put your business name first and then use keywords in the title of the board, but also make sure you use those keywords again, and a number of different keywords in the board description. I know it seems like a lot of stuff to do, but the best advice is I have and was given was to pick a board a day or a week. Don't sit down and try and do all your boards. I mean, I've got 15, 20 odd boards, I think. For me to go through and do all of my boards in one day would have just driven me nuts. You need to do them, a few at a time. So do that. Make sure you put your keywords in there. Keywords are also important when you're repinning. So when you're pinning off of somebody else's website, or if you're repinning within Pinterest, make sure to change some of the descriptions, because you can't expect, one, the original pinner to actually realize that they need to use keywords, and two, that they will actually have the same audience as you have. So change the descriptions of your pins to reflect what your customer needs. And this is what I come back to, is what your customer needs and what they're looking for. So the final technical thing that I want you to consider. So what have I covered? is the actual setting up, where you need to go, and that's that link that I've put over in the chat. The next thing is verifying your account, so you've got access to the best analytics. The third thing is keywords. And the fourth thing is images, because let's face it, Pinterest is a visual medium. So you'll need to make sure that you have clear images. So I use Canva for creating my images. I use it because they have all of the dimensions set up. You can use Canva for work, so you can automatically resize dependent on the platform that you're going to post to. But just make sure that they're clear. The other thing is make sure that if you're creating an image, it has your logo on it, because you don't know how far and how wide this image is going to go. So you need to be able to have that little bit of branding on it. You know, get some kudos for the work that you've done. And the final thing that I will say about images is infographics. Now, people say that infographics are, you know, fabulous on Pinterest, and they are, don't get me wrong. Pinterest users love infographics, but, and here is my but, don't make it too long. If you have to go over 2 pages to get all of your infographics, that's it. You're going to, 1, annoy me, and 2, annoy most of your users. Because the thing is that a lot of people use mobile devices these days. So you're going to have to be mindful that they're going to be searching for your pins on a mobile device, whether it's a phone or whether it's a tablet or an iPad. You know, please be mindful of these things. So 1, your gorgeous infographic is going to be condensed to some miniature size, which isn't really going to be legible on a phone screen. And 2, there's only so many scrolls a person's going to do before they just think that you're just plain old annoying. So that's the other thing, is your images. So now I want to talk about the stuff that I really enjoy. Excuse me. And these are the behavioral considerations that you need to look at with Pinterest. So my main thing when it comes to online is to remember that there is a person on the other side of this screen. So on the other side of your pin is a person looking at it. So you're not there to just sell your stuff. You're there to meet them where they are. And it's not up to them to step up to you and ask you how you're going to solve their problems. It's up to you to go to them. It's up to you to open up that dialogue and build that relationship. It's not for them to do it. So people use Pinterest, and I'm talking about customers use Pinterest to either inspire or aspire. So they want ideas. So to inspire, they want ideas on how to do whatever it is they're going to do better. They want ideas on how it's going to happen. So I want ideas on teacher gifts. I want ideas on birthday cakes. I want ideas on what to cook my family for dinner. I want lunchbox ideas. I want sewing plans. I want, you name it. These are the things that I want. These are the things that I want to learn. These are the things that inspire me. Hi, Eileen. And then the next thing is aspirational things. So, for example, last year, my family and I, we traveled around the world. So our first stop was Disney World. And I looked to Pinterest to gather a whole heap of information, the top tips and the 10 things not to do and the 10 things that I had to do and the things that I had to carry to go into Disney World and all of those kinds of things. But I also looked to Pinterest for home ideas, beautiful home ideas and clothing ideas and Thanks, Cheval. It was my husband and my 40th birthday last year, so we did it as a 40th birthday present to ourselves. So it's those kinds of things. So you're either on Pinterest to inspire or aspire. So you need to use your boards to do those things for your customers as well. So when people say, oh, but I'm a realtor, I don't know what I can do about Pinterest. I don't know how to use it. Well, post ways to get your house ready for sale, ideas on arranging furniture, ideas on arranging flowers, how to set up a welcome front door, ideas for if you're in the States, things like the flags and the wreaths that you might want to put out for different seasons, beautiful homes. You know, travel writers might want to look at, beautiful travel locations, how to pack, how to travel with kids, top tips, best airports, places to eat, tools that they might need, those kinds of things. So you need to not just sell your things, you need to be useful to your customers as well. So that's something that you should consider. One tip that I have found that I've not heard anywhere else, and this has been huge, and I share this within my mastermind community, and I'm going to share this now, is long weekends and holiday weekends are absolute gold for businesses that are on Pinterest. Why? Because you've got the extra time. So here in Australia, long weekends are not just for catching up with friends and things like that, and barbecues and relaxation and those kinds of things. So foods and recipes and decorations and those sorts of pins go really well. But gardening pins go really well also. The other thing is that women, and let's face it, the majority of Pinterest users are women, not just only women, but a lot of them are. Women have that time that they can sit down and go, oh, there's not much happening. I think I'll just jump on Pinterest and I'll look for a few things. Another time that I've found is quite useful is when there are big sporting events on. So one time that I found I got a lot of pins and a lot of activity on my Pinterest is when Super Bowl is on. It is huge for Pinterest. So for those wives who are really not football followers, they got on Pinterest. Sundays are fantastic, Laurie. Sundays of holiday weekends are massive on Pinterest. So yeah, use it like your customers would. The other thing that I have used a little bit of are group boards. I've been invited to participate in group boards. So this is where you collaborate. This is fantastic for opening up you're welcome. For opening up your readership or your fan base up to new businesses. Words of caution. Make sure that the board is active. Make sure that the pinners who are on the board are active, and make sure you're active on the board as well, because they only work if you do. And then my last tip that I'm going to go into is rich pins. So you set this up on your website. It's another piece of code that you need to add to your website. But rich pins provide the additional information to your actual pin in the description. So for example, one that most people would see is recipes. So that's where it pulls the recipe out of your website and puts it into the pin. It's been useful to your users. So I would recommend if you have any of the sites that they recommend, and I'll just grab that for you. So for example, if you are looking at setting up a website where you'll be posting some recipes or if you're going to be selling apps and things like that, to make sure that your website is enabled for rich pins. And I think that's it. So thank you. I'm going to open up the blab now